No, we're down in Leon, no,
I mean,
Liberty Grove.
it's in
All right, folks, it's 6 o'clock. We'll get our meeting started of the regular
Loretta.
city commission meeting of Tuesday, March the 16th, and I'll call the meeting to order, please. And gonna ask Commissioner Alderson if she would to lead the pledge, and Robert if he would to do the prayers. If you'd all stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, Lord, so thank you for this blessed day. Thank you for the beautiful sunshine that we've received today. Father, we thank you for your protection watching over each and every one of us. We ask as we go forth in this meeting tonight that business discussed here beneficial to all present, community here in Mount Pleasant, and all its residents. We ask for your protection as we leave this place, guide and direct our steps and lead us for the benefit of your glory. We give you praise and thanks in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, folks. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Bill White,
Here.
Jackie Greenberg,
here.
Mike Davis.
Here.
Eric Harvey,
Here.
Willie Alderson,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. Next, we have approval and correction of our minutes. Again, we've got two sets here from the study session of the 11th and the regular meeting of the 22nd. Once everybody's had a chance to review them, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I saw none. I'll just go ahead and make a motion, let somebody else win.
All right, any other?
To make a approval for the minutes of the study session on February the 11th and the regular meeting on February the 22nd.
Any other questions or comments? Entertain a second.
Second.
You have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have awards and presentations, and Mr. Eric Hughes is here tonight to accept this from Mr. Eddie Bassham. So, Eric, thank you for doing that.
Just some extra copies too, did you have a table?
And Eric, I'll be there that day.
Okay, good, thank you.
First coach, yeah.
And I'm gonna do just like I do always. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but I think there's something in here that we all need to pay close attention to, because Eddie has been a wonderful part of this community and has influenced a lot of children. So I'm just gonna get to the middle of it, is whereas Coach Eddie Bassham is being recognized for his many outstanding accomplishments. He began his head baseball coaching career at Mount Pleasant in 1977 and served until 2004. During this time, Coach Bassham led Mount Pleasant to 9 district championships, 5 region championships, and 3 Class A state runner-ups, 89, 98, and 2004. Coach Bassham also served as an assistant coach in 2014 and returned to the head coach position for the 14-15 season. He came back out of retirement again at 19 and served as head coach until 2020. Coach Bassham served as the head coach of the Mount Pleasant High School baseball team in 6 different decades. Eddie may not want that number. 70s, 80s, 90s, 2010s, and the 20s, Coach Bassham finished his career with over 600 career wins. It's awesome. I don't know that we'll ever be able to thank Eddie enough for what he's done, because it's a thankless job for what he's got. So, Eric, thank you.
Thank you. And on March the 27th, at 2:30, we're going to have a field dedication. Murray County School Board, they, in June, renamed the Mount Pleasant High School baseball field to the Eddie Bassham Field. So invite everybody out. There's going to be kind of a visitation or a celebration at 1 to 2 in our school cafeteria. And then at 2:30 at the field, we'll recognize Coach Bassham and his family. We're actually playing Equal, who is coached by his son, Brandon.
Oh,
And,
wow.
yeah,
What?
I do appreciate
I will
it.
send a reminder out to all you commissioners.
And Eric,
Yeah, I do get
what you're
them.
doing.
I don't get my emails, but I do get them.
Anywhere I go, they ask me, they say, what's going on great at Mount Pleasant? I said, just look at the school.
That's right.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Mount Pleasant Power System appointee Henley Edwards, and we received a letter from the board of the Mount Pleasant Power System recommending Henley be reappointed and asked that we do that. And I'm fine with that. And Henley's, again, is somebody that's helped serve in that role for, I don't know how many years Henley's been on the power board, but he's been a good member.
And this would be effective April 1st of 2021.
So, entertain a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to leave Henry Edwards on the Mount Pleasant Power System Board.
Second. Do we got a motion and a second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, completion review of unfinished business from prior meeting. A, ordinance 2021-1063. This is a public hearing and final reading. An ordinance to amend Title 7, Chapter 5 of the Mount Pleasant Municipal Code relating to private alarm systems.
Mayor and Commissioners, we're updating this ordinance. The two changes in here are we're changing the time frame from a fiscal year to a calendar year, January to December, and we're changing the language from residential and commercial to residential and other, which would just be a catch-all.
Yes.
And this, as the Mayor said, is a public hearing and would be effective following the passage of this.
That being said, anybody in the audience like to comment on this? Please let the minutes reflect no one wanted to. And with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we pass ordinance 2021-1063 to the new language that we have in it.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. B, ordinance 2021-1064. Again, this is a public hearing and the final reading. An ordinance to amend Title 19, Chapter 3 of the Mount Pleasant Municipal Code relating to gas.
And Mayor and Commissioners, this is basically defining our current practice for deposits where we take, for commercial, 2.5 times. So 2.5 times. The previous ordinance just said we can charge deposits, but didn't explain how we did it. So we used 2.5 times anticipated use, and that's clarified in this ordinance.
Yeah, we've got it right there. It's in 19-304 for just everybody's info. Again, this is a public hearing and final reading. Anybody in the audience care to speak to this? Please let the minutes reflect there weren't anyone that wanted to. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
This one does have a second part for residential roads. You're right, they have.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Reference 13 or 19-3-104, is there another section in the draft that they have?
We did residential last
We
month.
did, we passed that the last time.
It was in this draft.
I thought we said, okay, maybe there's a mistake there. I thought we had said that we were doing away with the credit checks on
Yeah.
everything, and we had specific dollar amounts for water, sewer, and gas. So that was not
Well, we-
addressed the last time?
I think we addressed it, but I don't think we actually included it in the gas ordinance, because I think Corey said it would have to be included in the gas ordinance.
Okay.
I think we updated it. We gave a new draft. I just don't know that that's the one that's in it.
No, this one, all this
Not
does,
addressed residential.
all this one does, all this references is
commercial.
all gas customers.
And that's not the case, that's commercial. Or is it residential as well?
Commercial was 2.5 times,
Okay, no.
and then the residential is 125 to 250.
Do you think?
Okay,
we
I would
could-
apologize. I would recommend that we just put this off until next month.
That's
You know,
what
since
I
it's
was getting ready to
originally-
ask. Thank you
And,
very much.
We'll make sure that you've got a correct version. I looked at this twice today, but I did not catch that.
So I'd entertain a motion to
Defer. until
Defer
April.
this
We
until-
table this till next time.
Yes.
defer.
Defer.
Defer this to next month.
Yes.
Move it.
Second.
Defer.
We got a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. C, ordinance 2021-1065. Again, this is a public hearing and a final reading. An ordinance to amend Chapter 5, Title 4 of the Mount Pleasant Municipal Code with respect to the occupational safety and health program.
And Mayor and Commissioners, the state, Tennessee, TOSHA, program requires that we have this adopted regularly, and I think it's been 6 or 7 years since we've done that. They've reviewed what we have in front of you and all the attachments and said this is what they need to see passed.
That's important. All right, this being a public hearing and a final reading, would anybody like to comment on that? Minutes reflect, please, that no one wanted to speak on it. Any other questions or comments from the commission? Being none, entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept ordinance 2021-1065.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. D, ordinance 2021-1066. Again, this is a public hearing and the final reading. An ordinance amending Title 14, Zoning and Land Use Control, Chapter 2, Zoning Ordinance of the Mount Pleasant Municipal Code being the same being the zoning ordinance for the city of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee, including the municipal zoning map incorporated therein by rezoning a property from neighborhood commercial to light industrial. And this, for everybody's information, is True Rail.
Property that True Rail is on, correct. So they, once they opened their operations, they did not realize that they could create a small fabrication shop and create some of the tools at a much smaller price to them. So that's what they're asking for. And this did pass the planning commission, and obviously it passed first reading last month.
Okay, has any citizens came forward, complained since we?
Some came at the planning commission
No, I'm
meeting,
talking about
but not,
since we voted, nobody,
No.
you know, like sometimes if we go through the first,
Right.
only at the planning commission, not anything since then.
okay, so that tells me right there, you know, where you go to number 2, you know, everybody sees it, you know, it first
Yeah.
reflect on the zoning property.
And I will say too, that there were a number of residents that showed up for the planning commission
Yeah,
meeting.
It was quite a few.
Would you like to speak on that?
It was quite a few
Vice Mayor.
that showed up to the planning commission, but True Rail was also in. They explained what their purpose was, and the main concerns was with noise and, you know, fumes and stuff like that, and it's not going to, you know, be affected that way, and traffic. But, you know, traffic's going to be up through there anyway because, you know, you're going to have trucks coming in and out, but it would be a limited amount.
First Avenue, yeah, and they talked about quite a bit of dumpster emptying, but they were just cleaning out the
Yeah, that was
inside,
their
and that will end
concern.
eventually.
The concern was about them dumpsters that's on the side and, you know, how tacky it looks, but as soon as they get through cleaning the building out, them dumpsters are going to be moved, and the dumpster they're actually going to have is going to be on the back side, and they're also planning on fencing that out.
That's even better.
So,
Mayor, again, I'd like to recommend, you know, True Rail for what they have done.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
for that area.
and they says the
It
door's
looks great.
open for tour anytime.
Yes, they have been very good hosts.
They have.
Is that a motion, Mr. Davis?
We need to do public hearing. I don't
Okay.
think we've opened up for
Okay.
speaking. And again, this is a public hearing and the final reading. Is anyone in the audience that'd like to speak to this? Please let the minutes reflect. No one did. Now then, we'll have a motion, and please remember what it's supposed to include.
And Mayor, from what we have discussed tonight, and we have went over our 4 fact findings. And from what I can tell, I'm making the motion to adopt ordinance 2021-1066 to go from neighborhood commercial to light industrial.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. E, ordinance 2021-1067. Again, it's a public hearing, final reading. An ordinance amending Title 14, Zoning and Land Use Control, Chapter 2, Zoning Ordinance of the Mount Pleasant Municipal Code, and the same being the zoning ordinance for the city of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee, including the municipal zoning map incorporated therein by rezoning a property from low-density R1 to high-density R3.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is up at the North High Street, First Avenue area, where they're wanting to do duplexes, and right now it's single-family zoned. And there were people here at the planning commission for that one as well, some that lived right next to it that learned that their property line wasn't what they thought it was. But there was general conversation back and forth. I don't think there was a lot of animosity. And as you're aware, this passed first reading in February.
All right, this being a public hearing, again, anybody in the audience care to speak to this? Please let the minutes reflect no one offered.
And this too was one that their complaint was because of the location and like Kate said, they came up with a couple of different where their property land is and where these people property land is. But the agreement is to change it to R1, to R3, but still, it's going to take a lot to get anything built there because of the road being closed and safety and fire hydrant, and because the road is so small that it's a one-way street.
High Street, yeah.
Yeah, so that too is gonna impact whatever they try to put there, and we made that quite clear, even with changing it.
Mm-hmm. That's good if the developers in their site plan.
So, with that being, with the vice mayor's talk on this, she is a member of the planning commission and does a great job for us as a commission. Guess we'd entertain a motion.
Oh. I make a motion. Go ahead. Go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
2021-1067.
Uh,
Oh, and, this though?
Your condition affect
the reason,
Huh?
the reason,
reasons.
according to one of,
Oh. The amendment requested for zone is in agreement with the land use plan for in this area?
Mm-hmm. That's good.
that's good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
I second.
We have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Through with our ordinances, folks. Monthly report from mayor. I don't have a whole lot other than Steve. We got a new street sweeper, and I bet I've heard more comments about a new street sweeper than I have anything we've done. So thank you. And it's all been good. We did need it without question. Without it, we were having some stormwater issues, and this should help alleviate some of that. This crosses a lot of different departments, which is a nice thing. This is something good for everybody. So Steve, everybody, Keith, all y'all, thank you for what you're doing every day.
Dr. Tyler appreciates it.
All in one, I guess it's going to plastic to the junkyard. That wasn't an old one.
No.
You're about to surplus that.
We're going to surplus that in just a minute.
I thought we were going to have it ready.
But that's about all I have. Again, things are going pretty well. So that's all I've got. Number 8, monthly financial and budget report. Ms. Loretta, please.
This month is, for February, our property taxes are due. But now, do keep in mind that, we actually will continue to, collect on into March, especially with the way that the, month ended, this year. But we are down 8% on our collections over this time last year. But like I said, that may turn around in that March and that first week due to the way the month fell. The 28th, which is the due date, landed on the a Sunday, which gave everybody till the 1st, which was the following Monday. And so that we would.
Then you had a snowstorm in there somewhere too.
Yeah, and you had a snowstorm.
And we've got some issues with the mail service.
Oh, yeah. We're getting things that are posted, postmarked 2 weeks prior to when it gets here, local mail.
So with all that being said, I'm not overly concerned that it's down that much. Now, if we get to the end of March and it's still down, then we might need to look at our, to see where we're at, as far as our delinquents. Although I do have to commend, one of my ladies that, and they work hard. I've seen LaToya get on the phone and going above and beyond, calling these people saying, hey, do you realize this is on your on the delinquent list? We don't want your property to be sold. We don't want to turn it over. that helps no one. And so I have seen her do that. And I have seen them remind people when they come in to pay water bills, to remind them to, that, you've got some taxes that are now due. And, they just do a really great job of trying to pull those together and to get as much, of those collected as possible. Other than that, our bond proceeds, they were sold at a premium, and we did receive that money in the month of February. We did put that in a separate capital fund. You'll see in the copies that you received this weekend, that there is a Fund 171, where we put all of those, so that we can segregate that money and keep it, for its intended purpose. And I know you got copies of the rest of the full report. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah,
Appreciate, what you're doing and the other ones are doing.
any questions or comments from the commission? Mike, I was just sitting here and I always look at this every month, but the power system's continuing to live alive. Nice,
It is good. It is.
nice. Any comments again from the commission? Entertain a
Well,
motion.
with that said, I'll make a motion in favor of the monthly financial budget report.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We got a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, monthly report from city manager.
I don't have much, Mayor. Loretta already talked about, since our last meeting, we closed on the bond 2 days after the last meeting, and we did close the premium that probably netted us an extra $30,000 to $40,000. I want to make sure everybody is aware there's 2 spec buildings going up in Cherry Glen right now, which they're both 50,000 square feet, and there is a huge need for industrial space. So
They're both how many?
50,000 square
Oh, I
feet.
thought you said 6. Sorry.
50,000, yeah. They should move pretty quickly. Obviously, one is an effort between the city, the county, the power system, and the Industrial Development Board, and the other is privately owned. And then I have been working with the state on the traffic signal that the power system is going to be bidding out for Polk Lane and North Main, and they have put in writing that they will agree to do this striping. They'll hire their outside contractor, but they will be doing the painting. They just want a month's notice. So I have that in writing. I have that
That's good
in
to
writing
know.
from them.
Appreciate it.
That's good to know.
That's really all I have right now.
All right. Any questions of Kate? Being none, number 10, special reports from other city departments or committees. Wastewater liaison, barge design sewer update.
Just a couple quick updates. The trunk line still is a little bit stagnant because of the weather as far as curing some of that pipe so they can move forward with wrapping it. Rainy Street, I've told you at the last month that where we need an easement, the woman has agreed to it verbally to sell that to us, and we now have a title firm that is dealing directly with her and us on exactly what we need to do to clear the title on that. And so it kind of helps to have a third party involved, and it's not the city dealing directly with her. So Corey got that set up for us. We're working on that. As far as the large part of the biggest part of the sewer rehab, we had our 90% engineering complete design meeting on Wednesday of this week on the 10th. I think I told you it was 6-7 hours long. Went through everything with staff in the room. And the next step is with just minor changes to submit it to the state and to USDA, our financer, for approval. 90 days would be awesome, but that's where the project slows down.
Yeah.
Waiting on that approval.
Yeah, sure does.
So that's a lot of progress, though. You'll see some large bills going to barge, and that's the reason, because we're making a lot of progress there.
Yeah.
Again, I'd like to thank Kate and Corey for what they did, on the Rainy Street project, to get Ms. Cooper to, agree,
Yeah, I just signed the thing right before the meeting where it's going to the state, talking about how we'll maintain it. And
Yeah.
Thank you. for
We have
that
ways to
hard work.
go, and it'll be back in front of you to accept that property, and all of that still has to happen, but we've made some great strides.
appreciate it.
All right, next we have Mount Pleasant Gas.
Really don't have much to report, just want to let you know we're purchasing all kinds of new meters that are greatly needed, and gas bills probably will go up because we have a better way of reading them because we have new meters, but, just old infrastructure that we're replacing.
And,
You'll see some of those invoices as well.
I would say over the next 2 or 3 weeks, whenever that bill's dropped, we need to be, understanding, because there's gonna be some cold weather on it. And gas is up substantially. But again, it's not set by us. All we're doing is
Correct.
passing it along. But you're hearing that everywhere.
Yeah, we even got an email from our natural gas provider encouraging us to pay our bill on time.
Oh, yeah, bet so. But, I was in a conference call one day last week. I just joined in on it. And, I don't know of a single community that's not going through this right now. Everybody's having the problem. I've even talked to some individual owners, one in particular in Columbia that bought a building so that they could be on Atmos's main line and buy direct. Theirs is up 32%. They're buying direct.
Your commercial and industrial are going to get hit
Yeah.
much, much harder than residential. It's going to be 5 to 10 at the most
Yeah.
dollars a month. But commercial and residential, I mean, the
It's
power
gonna be-
plant is a huge hit.
Yeah.
And we at least sat down and talked to them about it in December, so they were prepared for it.
But their prices go up,
Yes,
we pay.
everybody pays.
Everybody pays. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It all goes down to the,
So anyway, that's what that is. So next we've got 11 is new business. A, ordinance 2021-1068, first reading. An ordinance setting Mount Pleasant Parks and Recreation Department ball field rental rates for the city of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee.
Mayor and Commissioners, we have a current practice where if somebody came and wanted to have a tournament and they wanted the field for the entire day, we've been charging them $200 a day. And that's really not in writing anywhere. The Recreation Commission agreed to it, but we want to get that as part of our rules and regs for anytime we're charging anybody for money. I want the commission be involved in a vote on that. So that's the first ordinance that's in front of you, is setting the rates for ball field rental.
Any comments?
Again, thank you to, if we know that we can get a little extra money, out of it.
So I want to thank Victoria because she did a lot of work on actually looking at what it takes on our end as a city to rent these fields out and to be able to come up with a rate that we can prove that it cost us this. So that took a lot of effort, but that's where we are. And if you look at it and feel like between now and second reading, there's something that you want us to look at, we certainly can do that.
Any other comments, questions from the commission?
Mayor, I make a motion in favor of ordinance 2021-1068 for the ball field rental fee to go from 200 to 250.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. B, ordinance 2021-1069, first reading, an ordinance requiring all leagues affiliated with or using Mount Pleasant Parks and Recreation Department facilities to execute a league charter and abide by a code of ethics.
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, we have an ordinance on the books already that accomplishes some of this, but it really was not, we didn't believe it was written real well, and we wanted to clarify it, and Victoria's done a really good job on this one as well. So you can use our fields, but you're going to apply for that, you're going to pay for that. Anybody that is coaching is going to have a background check. You're going to abide by our rules. Our rules when you're not going to play because of weather, and all these forms are attached that it makes it very clear that this is the whole process if you're going to use one of our fields, as far as maintenance and everything else. And this just looks a lot better and way more organized. And if anybody's wanting to do it, clearly they understand the process that they need to go through.
Any comments? I don't know if y'all looked it over, but it's very thorough.
Thank you, Victoria. That was well needed.
Yeah.
Was needed.
And it's very thorough. It's great work. I read through it close. I don't know if I could abide. If I had a child, I'm sure I couldn't.
You get taught.
But it's in writing now.
You're right.
And before it was always, well, so-and-so
Well-
didn't, or we didn't, or they didn't have to do this.
One of these.
Right, so that's the reason why I told her, I'm glad she done a wonderful job of putting it in writing, and now, it's the same for everybody.
Yep. Any other comments or questions from the commission? Being none, entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we pass ordinance 2021-1069.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. C, Resolution 2021-7, a resolution by the City of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee, declaring certain Mount Pleasant Community Services Department inventory as surplus property and authorizing the sale of this surplus property.
No, Mayor and Commissioners, you had something either laying in front of you, yours was in your packet, Ms. Alderson was in her packet. We had, this is surplusing the old street sweeper. And so you're voting on the resolution that starts with Steve Renfro, the Department Head of Community Services. We had the Public Works Director's name on there, and so it should be Steve's department because that's where this piece of equipment belonged. So,
The one I signed is correct. I'm looking at it.
yes, okay, so we need to make room for the new one.
Steve, thank you again. I didn't realize that was an 89. Jeez, Moniz.
It stirred up more dust than it got off the road.
We bought that one this year.
Yeah. All right, any comments or questions from the commission? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion in favor of resolution 2021-7 for
Yep.
surplus property.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Get it off the lot, Steve.
Give us some big money.
Yeah. D, Resolution 2021-8, a resolution adopting a social media use and internet posting policy.
And Mayor and Commissioners, the main reason that we needed to change this is we went from a .org to a .gov, so our address is all over this policy, so we needed to update that. And we had some conversation at the February study session about the purpose of our social media, and I know that Corey and I are in agreement, and I didn't get that much feedback, so I'm assuming you all are in agreement that we're giving out information on what the city is doing and posting our ordinances and posting things that are going on, but we're not here to promote private businesses for private gain, and that we just get into trouble doing that. So that's what this resolution says.
The only significant change is to section 2.9.
Aside from changing to .gov, yeah, then 2.9, and you probably got a copy where it's still in red, where it says, city's not expected or permitted to promote private businesses or individuals for private gain. That's a significant change.
That's basically the same as what we've been doing, we just put it in writing so it's clear for us.
Yeah, now it's in writing. Any other questions or comments from the commission? Being none, entertain a motion.
Move that we accept resolution 2021-8 as presented.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. E, approval of debt obligation form CT 0253.
And that is this form that you have in your packets, Mayor and Commissioners, and this is just a requirement by the state that this be public, that we are sharing it in our minutes. We'll post it on our board that we took on debt. You're all aware of that. Mayor signed off on that. And then once it's discussed in this meeting, Loretta and I will send this to the comptroller's office so that it's all above board and out in the open. So that does not need a vote, but it will be in the minutes.
And quite frankly, all that is just a cursory thing because we approved, the commission approved the borrowing.
Or you wouldn't have signed it, yeah.
That's right. So,
Although it says approval.
yeah,
we're good.
good. All right. F, select the auditor.
And Mayor and Commissioners, you all should have received an email from Loretta with her recommendation, but as she also stated in that email, it's the commission's decision on who they want to move forward on. We're happy to address any questions that you have, and we're willing to take a motion. One thing I do want to add, whoever we decide that we want to make a motion for, we're asking for it to be 1 year with the opportunity to add 2 more years. So we can get out after a year if we're not happy with it, or we can go 3 years, and that's very typical with professional services.
Yes, very. One of the things that Loretta spelled out in her email, which was very good, is I've got the same concerns she does about this CPE, continuing education. I can tell you in the banking world, if they're not current on that, we wouldn't even consider it, period. Their bid would go out the door. I mean, that's just something you got to do. I mean, in your world too, Corey, you better have it or you lose your license. And that concerns me that they don't take the time to do that. That's a biggie to me. So with that said,
Mayor, I would like to say something also.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
I mean, I'd like to thank Bellefonte, you know, for what they've done in the past. They've always, you know, it gave us a good score, and it's reflected, because part of it was in the paper here not too long ago.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But as we have spoken in the past, you know, we want to go to somebody else. And so I'll leave that.
And we will share with Bellefonte that we're happy to do business in the future, but it just is, it's just common practice that you don't stay with the same
Yeah.
auditor.
Never. We're dealing with it today at the bank. We swapped over. And it ain't fun. The first one's not fun. After you get through the first one, it is what it is again, but getting through that, because you hope that they expand the scope somewhat. And when they do that, maybe they find a thing or two. We're not against them finding a thing or two.
There's something wrong.
We
with what
need
they're
their
doing.
help.
Yeah.
That's why we pay them what we do. So I think it's a good idea. So entertain a motion is, and if anybody's got a recommendation who they'd like to use.
Hybrid, and I thought Blankenship was a good one.
And is your motion for 1 year with the ability
1 year, I motion 1 year.
to have 2 additional years?
And then
Yeah.
2 additional. Yeah.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions from the commission?
I'm in agreement with that as well.
I am too. I'll just tell you, I'm fully in agreement with it.
Okay.
So with that, we'll have a vote, please. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Got you somebody you need to work with, Loretta.
Is that who y'all was wanting to?
Both of us were in agreement on that.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
in total agreement with it too. All right. Next, G, approval of splash pad bid. And I'll speak up right quick on this. I can tell you during the work session that there was a lot of discussion about a splash pad. And I have a idea there may be some more tonight. I've still got concerns. I'm not going to tell you any stories. It's a lot of money. But I want to hear what else the commission has to say, and I'd like for each of you to tell me your thoughts and for everybody here to hear them.
Mayor, I'd like to say something, but I'd rather, you know, Kate sent us out an email today.
Yeah.
I want to make sure
So
everybody
I
did get
just,
it.
You know, I just
Okay.
want to make sure, you know, her point gets across.
Well, right now you are only approving a bid, but I do understand in the grand scheme of things that includes the idea of moving forward with the splash pad. So which is why I sent the email out. I want to make sure that people understood where the dollars were. I think we were kind of not looping in the fact that when this is all over with, the state's going to owe us $75,000. So if you look at what I presented to you, the net cost of the city will be right at $185,000. We will have, with all of our in-kind services, which many of which we've already received, will be a $325,000 splash pad. And we have already budgeted the 71 for this fiscal year, and we intend to ask you to budget for the other 34,000. I'm kind of rounding it up for the next budget year. And we've always talked about using the balance out of the bond proceeds because it is a capital project, it is infrastructure, and it is something that should last for a long time. And it's a good use of bonds money at 1.6% interest. So I think it's a very doable project, but I also go back to this started in 2014, possibly before that, but I know it's documented that it started before 2014. And also the Recreation Commission created a strategic plan that was adopted by the commission, and the number one priority in that strategic plan was the splash pad. So I feel like we can move forward with this. I appreciate everyone's concerns and want to answer questions because as the mayor said at the study session, we all need to know what we're voting on. And so that was the purpose of getting out an email with a little bit more information, once Loretta helped put it down, pen to paper. Happy to answer questions and get your feedback on that.
Mayor, may I say something?
Yes, sir.
Mayor, Kate,
I'm not reading, I'm reading email, but it's Kate's to us. Please don't.
I got a hard copy.
I'm not sitting here texting and carrying on, I'm reading.
Mayor, I got a hard copy.
No, I got it right here.
Appreciate what Kate said. And I know, we already have materials of what, $78,000?
Well, that includes the 5,000 for training, when training won't happen until the components are in the ground.
But I hope everybody gets me right on this, and don't take me wrong. I'm for this, but at the same time, when the one in Columbia has gone bad, I would rather for us to wait. I'm not saying do away with this project. I'd rather come back, and if we had to, and pay the $36,000 that we was gonna get, for a grant, as to do a concrete job. It's gonna cost roughly $80,000. And, the maintenance and everything on that, and then it comes back failed. So I would a whole lot rather see somebody local that has put something up that we know is gonna withstand. Because we got into this, and I'll jump out here to the old lagoon, we went there, and we said, okay, and then we came back. Guess what? It failed. But I would just rather us maybe just to sit back and make sure that, the concrete that's going down, is going to work.
I would think we would have some of that in writing and some warranties.
Well, I'm sure Columbia did.
This gentleman has built splash pads, and he's built them with Vortex components.
But it's just hard to make a vote for it without.
And then just keep in mind too, this is the second time we took bids. And we are under a deadline on the grant.
Well, that's what I say. I'd rather come back and pay the $36,000 just to pay another. I mean, although, the concrete guy might say, hey, it's guaranteed, and then lo and behold.
But it's not just about paying. It's not just about paying the money. When we mess up the state grant, then that's gonna put us in a position to be looked at when we apply for another one. And I'm not against what you're saying. I'm in agreement with what you're saying 110%. And I also would like to say that I've been here from day one, because when we originally came, our goal was to put that splash pad on Gardenia, and they wanted it there because it would be monitored and be closer, whatever this, that, and the other. But they had the strategic plans. It just didn't go the way that it was supposed to go, because it was not handled the way that it should be handled. Now, I would also like to say that Bradford had come in, and Bradford has tried to clean it up, and he has tried to get it done. He's been over there digging and doing things himself, trying to make sure this come forward, and he's worked very hard on it. And I am very grateful for him. And the work that he went through to find it, because it's just like with the components, he's the one that came to Park and Recreation and said, you got to have certain components. That's not what was originally presented. You can't just use anything to get anybody to build anything like we was originally told from the beginning. So it's kind of a slippery situation. And yes, it's gone from costing us 70 something to almost 2,000, and that's a lot of money. And
our commitment was always 75,000, but there was this idea that the students would build, and that just can't.
And that's what I'm saying, that couldn't be done because of the law with the components, and the components got to work exactly right. So I guess what I'm saying, it wasn't investigated and presented the way that it should have been before we went out here on a limb. And I'm like you, I have issues because, I've seen the lagoon fail too many times, and I was on that side raising Cain every time a water bill went through the sky. But I
don't think, the grant people would hold that against us. I mean, I may be totally wrong, But I think
They would absolutely
They
will.
will.
It's a
I just
package.
think that since we already ordered that material, this is something should have been discussed before we ordered the equipment over there. We got, what, 86,
81.
81? Yeah, a material just sitting over there. Then you don't want to take the chance of losing a grant again or can't apply for another grant.
That's free money.
That's free money, so
There
we,
is a penalty if you lose a state grant. I've already researched that, so I do understand that. And then it's a penalty for us to come out all this money because, I mean, I got a feeling when they find out how much it really gonna cost, we're gonna have some public input on it too, but I mean,
I mean,
but I know the public is wanting it now too, is the way,
I know, you
so.
know, this year's altogether different too. I know we said that there would be a pavilion up at Gardenia by 2019-20, but that hasn't happened.
No, they're updating their strategic plan right now for those types of
I mean,
things.
I just can't go with it right now.
And could clarify for me what you were talking about with the 36,000. I wasn't sure what you were talking about. You mentioned the figure
I
30.
think, wasn't that the grant? What's the grant?
The grant is 75, 75. Total, the
Yeah.
total project was 150,000 with us paying half.
When does the
75.
grant expire?
July of next summer is my understanding,
Well,
2022.
we got a little while to.
Then you can look at other materials going up, you know?
Well, we're
I
3 years into this and this is
Yeah.
only as far as we've gotten.
Oh, if I'm reading your email right, this dates back to 14. This thing.
yeah, it was supposed to be, it was voted in, yeah. It was
It
supposed
goes
be
back to
voted
the
in.
TRIP grant where they hired Thomas
Yeah, and that's
to be the new
14.
director.
Yep.
The
But-
citizens are asking about it, you know, when are y'all gonna start, you know? And you might not get another bid the next time for concrete.
Actually, we reached out to this gentleman because he does do splash pads. And there's no guarantee that you're not gonna have ongoing maintenance, you will.
Yeah.
Any parks we have, anything we do,
My
we have
driveway have
ongoing
maintenance
maintenance.
concrete.
I just know that this has been in the forefront in the community as a priority, and I hate to see it turn
Yeah.
around when I think the end product is gonna be something really special.
I do too, you know. But it's just,
I'm like Mike, I don't want the thing to die.
you know, I feel like, you know, for what Bill said, we've got some time. I mean, if it's done been 4 years, what's another maybe 6 months or so?
And if we don't finish it, we don't get the $75,000
Yeah, we
from the
got
state, and we can't apply for another grant with the state.
It's just,
Oh, we can apply for other grants with the state. We just can't apply for a splash pad grant.
No, you can't apply for
Apply for
anything
anything.
under LPRF. You can apply for trails, and they have 2 different programs, the LPRF and the Rails to Trails, and we can apply for that, but we cannot go back to LPRF grant if we did not do what we said we were gonna do. Kind of blacklisted at that point.
Bedford, would you like to speak in on any of this?
Guys, I really believe that the gentleman who's proposed this bid is probably the most qualified group going to find to do this job. I do agree there's going to be ongoing maintenance, but it's the same way with the field house or the press box at Walker River Field that's got damaged. We're going to spend some money on that. There's going to be upkeep and maintenance on all things.
and nothing lasts forever.
The difference in the splash pad that Columbia has versus the one we're getting is they drop concrete in the ground that doesn't recirculate. There is no rules or regulations behind it. There wasn't the specificality that we have to go forward with this project because it's a recirculating system, more like a swimming pool. Most in-ground swimming pools don't crack. You know, they hold the water. This will have a recirculating system that stays wet most of the time. I do know that it could still crack. There's always going to be that possibility, but I believe this man has the qualifications necessary to actually get our project done the way it's supposed to be done. He did the splash pad in Franklin. He did the splash pad or the water jets and the slides that are over at Giltown Wreck in Columbia. And you look at both those pieces of concrete
Yeah,
versus
that's not.
the one in
Yeah.
Columbia, and you can see the extreme difference. Columbia has outdoor concrete that we just throw it on the ground with some sprinklers in it, because they take the water from the Duck River and push it right back to the Duck River. It's not quite the same product.
They don't even have the sprinklers in the splash pad. They're on the outside,
Well,
correct?
that's where their components are.
The components.
The
that's what I mean.
components on the edge, yeah.
And a frog that sit on the outside because it was primarily an afterthought, and those are not approved splash pad components. You can do anything with it after it's yours. If you want to drill big holes in it and bolt anything to it, you can, it's after it's yours. but I just don't recommend it. That's why I recommend the approved vortex components that fit, that work, that have toe protectors, that aren't 2 million pounds, they're fiberglass, polyresin, materials that are approved for what it is that we're trying to do.
What
And I
does it
appreciate
co-
all the research you put into it, Bradford, because you
Thank
came back and
Yeah.
you try to clean it up.
What do you do to keep this thing from freezing in the winter?
Just like you would swim.
You're gonna
You
basically
have
shut
to
it down.
You have to shut it down and,
And a freeze.
just like I do all the bathrooms at our parks, I have to, winterize it. One more thing I have to do. I have to drain the pump water.
The difference in the splash pad and the pools, the splash pads are usually open earlier and stays open later. They're not like from July to the end of August.
Like usually Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Yeah, well, they don't went past Memorial Day, now they don't start waiting to June, and then, it used to be they went to Labor Day, now it's like the last weekend in August. So they actually are functionable longer than that. But, and I mean, we've gone out on this limb and we actually are kind of stuck with it. And I think delaying it is back to what you're gonna say, it's probably with the price of everything going up, it's no telling how much more it's gonna cost us if we have to wait and get another bid. It was just something that just wasn't done right from the start, and we're just trying to clean it up and make it right. But we're trying to make it right so it's gonna be there and it's gonna be safe for the public.
There's a lot of assumptions at the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of you were probably at the community center meeting, even at the school board meeting where the
Yeah.
students presented how they were going to build this. That's a big part of the money that's not in there that we're having to come up with. And it's just not going to, COVID made it almost impossible to do. And I just think in the long run, when you're trying to meet the requirements of a state grant, which are very stringent, involving the students, we probably weren't going to be able to get that done. Neat idea, and they have had input in it, and they will, but it's something we just have to move forward on.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do it.
And like I said, when Bradford was investigating it, nobody looked at the fact that you can't put your handmade components on somebody else's components in order for it to work right. Although I think we did come to a conclusion, we're gonna use them around the edge for something.
Like the big tree.
Just so because the tree, school's got a big tree and stuff, and we just don't want, just to say we don't want it. But still, as far as the components in the splash pads, they got to be safe for the kids. I want to put in there something that we're going to get sued for either.
But from what I understand, the majority is for it, right?
I mean, with me, it's like we don't have a choice.
And I'm somewhat in agreement with Vice Mayor Granberry, that we sit with this. What I don't understand, and it's what I'm struggling with the most, is how did it get this far out of hand this quick?
I don't think it's
Because it was dragged along and we was told this, and this, until we put a park director in there that investigated and came back and said, that won't work.
We keep hearing all the time. All I've heard for the last 4 years is that this splash pad is gonna cost this city about $70,000.
Amen.
And now we get down to the end of it, it's gonna cost about 200.
Right.
I struggle with the point that we missed it so bad.
Well, we
missed it.
We were in front of the schools. They were going to build it. That's a huge cost savings. Community was going to be involved in donating things, and all that sounds great, but in reality, and then you have the pandemic where you basically lose a year of time, and here we are with a grant, and we want a splash pad, and this is what we're up against.
Go ahead, Bradford.
I don't think that ever really, once you saw the scope of the project, that you would have wanted children building this anyway.
No.
But sitting up there with you guys, I voted for it just the same with that thought process that the school was gonna build this splash pad. But after it got there and the blueprints were presented to me and I actually got the opportunity to see the mechanics behind it,
And after we met and you showed me all of this and what had to be, then it was like, you know, we couldn't have went that route if we wanted to.
Right.
Not safety and legal wise. And I mean, it's nothing against the school, it's nothing against the kids. But it should have been, I mean, the person that was
Looked into
presenting
it, yeah.
it should have had more, whatever. I'm sure.
Your megatronics teacher, your first teacher at the
Mr.
school
Beckton,
was
yeah.
big time behind it. And then he lost his position and then we're starting over. It's just that there's
A
been,
lot have happened.
a lot has happened. None of it helped getting the splash pad where it needed to be.
You know, I was the first one to say no, because, you know, my pet peeve would have been put some of this up there on Gardenia Park. But now we got this and what we're going to do, just mess up with the state and,
That's my concern.
yeah.
Because-
That's the point that we're at is losing.
Because right now, we could resell that equipment for probably 90 cents on the dollar. Because
Yes.
somebody else would take it. And it's real. Other communities are doing them, not just ours.
Right.
And then, but my concern is you do that, you lose $6,000-7,000, okay. But
Well,
you move
actually,
on.
we lose more
But
than
then-
that if
but
we
then
apply
you-
for another grant.
That's my point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna call it for a bid. And I want us to do, please, roll call. Be watching over your shoulder, folks. Because when this community finds out that we went from $75,000 to $200,000, we're gonna have a lot of questions answered.
Yep.
And I'd be getting my ducks in a row as to how this happened. Because I can tell you, y'all know how financially responsible I try to keep this community, and this is out of hand.
It is.
Again,
And
like,
I don't know how we got there.
I hate to lose the grant, but I still, you know, that's just me. That's just me. I hope.
If we did this on every single project that we did that we said was gonna cost us $150,000, the hard work that all of us have done here for the last 3 or 4 years to get this city to where it is in a AA rating would go down the toilet before we could even flush it. Roll call, please, ma'am.
And this is the
We need a motion.
We have a motion.
I make a motion to approve of the splash pad bid.
We have a second. Second. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Jacqueline Bradbury,
I'm saying yes because of the position that we're in.
Bill White,
I can tell y'all this. If this were not going to put our community in the shape that it is and not allow for this community to ever get other grants with the state of Tennessee under this, I would vote no before you could blink your eyes.
Oh, I would have too.
Because this is not how we're supposed to financially take care of this community. Period. Yes.
I vote you. Thank you.
Eric Harvey,
Yes.
Willie Alderson,
Yes.
Mike Davis.
Again, I'd like to say my reasoning, well, you know, I'm not gonna be the odd man out. But I just hate, you know, when you bring up of losing the grant. And I hope the people in our community that sees what the price has gone to, hopefully that will help it out. I don't know. But I'm going, you know, I'll go with the rest of it. I'll vote yes.
Motion carries.
All right. H, approval of commercial lawnmower for use at the lagoons.
Mayor and Commissioners, this honestly doesn't need a vote, but we're just trying to make sure that we are totally transparent. We budgeted for a walk behind and a gator, in Public Works Department, and Keith McCafferty was new in the budget process last year, and his year of observation is we don't need that gator, and so we are going to be purchasing a commercial mower for the lagoons. And if you've seen the lagoons is 545 acres, we certainly don't mow all of that, but there's a lot to mow, and a residential mower will not last. So basically, we're going to purchase a commercial mower that we anticipate being right in the range of $9,000. And it doesn't need a vote, just one in the minutes that we're all having the same conversations about our budget.
Is this going to be cheaper than what the original?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this here is a good mower. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, $9,000 is a lot of money. for it.
It ought to be.
If it ain't no good mower, we take it back.
He's
Put
just
your
saying it's a
butt
John
to
Deere,
work.
it's a John Deere commercial mower.
$9,720, I believe.
You know, my John Deere lawnmower don't count, so you
I've been
ain't
saying, I've
impressing
been
me.
using them for years now, they'll wear out. $2,000.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, oh, yeah.
They're worth the money.
Well,
There's points in time where you gotta spend it on something like that.
And I went to it and I could see where they need them. It's needed.
All righty. I, city attorney's request for permission to take legal action regarding certain city-owned property related to taxes, correct?
No.
No,
this
we
is-
just want to discuss the executive. session.
Executive session. Okay, so everybody understands what this
Yeah.
is. Just making sure. Any questions, comments?
We just need a motion to give permission.
Being none, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we give her permission to do what she needs to do.
Good.
I second that emotion.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Anybody sign up to speak, Miss Loretta? Anybody like to care to speak?
The delinquent taxes, the delinquent tax sale was last Tuesday.
Yes.
We did not sell any Mount Pleasant properties, which is always the goal, and
Mm-hmm.
we only had 2 that didn't pay. We took them off because we couldn't get personal service on them, and I
Right.
don't like to risk it, so
Yeah.
we took them off. There were a couple Mount Pleasant properties that sold from Murray County and Mount Pleasant taxes, so of all the properties that started out, there were only 2 that were not paid. So that is a success in my book. So as soon as we finish that one, we'll file a new lawsuit on April the 1st. So we start this process all over again. I think that's what the mayor would
I'm giving it back to her, so we'll have them.
approve.
Yeah. It kind of goes back to Loretta's point about Latoya and how great a job we've done,
You keep yours.
how we have reviewed so few, none sold.
That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Really good thing.
Yes.
And the ladies at the county chancery court office, they like our motto. They've adopted try not to sell properties too. So we all, Latoya calls people, my office calls people, y'all have called people. So
Mhm.
if there's any way we can find people and notify them for it.
All righty. That being all of it, Mike, anything you'd like to add, please?
Yes, I'll try to make this quick, but since we're online tonight, I would like to bring this up. We had an incident here, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Time got by me. It was on the sewer line from a residential going, to the city sewer line. Well, this individual called me, and I told him I would see what I could do. And I said, are you sure, your line is open from your house to where it connects to the city? He said, yes, it is. So in the meantime, and I called this gentleman back after I'd done a little investigating and calling. And I wish when people have problems that they just wouldn't call our employees and downgrade them. Use vulgar language. And this gentleman told me, he said, oh, I didn't do it. But after I questioned him again, he said, I'm sorry I've done that. And then to come out, find out later, the city, and that takes time. City's done been to this gentleman's house several times. And they run the camera down the line and they found where the line had collapsed. And I asked this gentleman, I said, why would you say that you have a brand new line, you know, from your house to the city, where it connects to the city? I said, you're causing trouble, you know, on the city, you know, by doing that. And I said, please, from now on, check with your contractor and make sure he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. That's it for me.
I'll say a quick word to that. I had this conversation with the same guy, very short. Because when I found out that he had used some language that I didn't find appropriate with an employee of this community, I basically told him that he had lost all his credibility. And we're not gonna have that.
Right.
And that's what I told him.
The problem was on his property, but
Yeah, but it's Mike's point and mine too, is there is no reason for that whatsoever.
And that's why, you know, the people need to make sure that their contractor is doing
Their job.
their job.
Commissioner Alders, anything?
No.
Here.
No. Just to reiterate what we voted on with the splash pad. You know, as a teacher and educator, my life is in all the kids on Mount Pleasant.
Right.
If there's a way that we can use them in any of this process with the splash pad, I want to at least us to investigate that. You know.
Mike and I work together all the time.
Right.
Eric, so I mean, it's
I know.
not an issue of them not being involved, it's their lack of ability to actually do the scope of work that needs to be done.
That's
if
it.
we're gonna be observing, then
Yeah, it wasn't the
doing.
kids. It
Yeah.
wasn't the kids.
Oh,
that
yeah,
did
I
their
know,
part.
but I mean, I know
That's why he decided to use the, what we
But
put on
at the
the
same
edge, the
time-
tree, yeah, the tree and stuff that they did. Because we want the kids to be able to say, you know, I helped with
Build-
this. But the point of it is, the way that it was, they couldn't do all of it, and we needed to go ahead. Well, he's done, I mean, how long you been on Park and Recreation? He's done in 7 months what didn't get done in 3 years.
Right.
So, I mean, he has really been working hard on this. And I've been backwards and forth with him, so that's why, you know, I know a lot about it. But I appreciate what Brad has done, and I appreciate how the kids get involved, because we want the kids to be involved in the community. That's how you get them to, you know,
Get them
do
to grow up and
things
stay here.
and do good and stay here. And, or if they go and get an education, come back here and not go someplace else. That's our main goals.
Amen.
Vice Mayor Granberry, you got anything else you'd like to add?
Sure.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded the motion.
We got a bunch of them. I'd say that means it passed.
Thank you to whoever brought these in.
And you have a key in your inbox.